Come on in. My name is Bill Tobin, and this is your restaurant success tip of the day. Recently, I was driving down the road, and as I was entering an on-ramp, I was on an on-ramp that forked in two directions. But at the fork was a van sitting, trying to decide, apparently, which way he was going. And I was accelerating to go onto the freeway, but slowed just in case this van, I didn't know if this van was going to shoot out in front of me or not. You guys may have been in a situation like this before. If you're from San Francisco or New York, you would just honk your horn at the guy and blare your horn and say, hey, get out of the way, or warn them that I'm coming around you. But in Hawaii, it's a little bit different. People don't honk. I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. And it's very unusual for people to honk their horns in Hawaii. But I did. I tapped my horn. I had somewhere to go. He was sitting in a dangerous spot, and I didn't want to get hit. So I gave him a little love tap or a love honk, just a quick honk. And lo and behold, this guy in the van puts his arm out the window. He takes off going in the other fork of the road that I'm not taking. But before he takes off, he flips me the love finger. You guys all know that. You also might call it the bird, whatever. He flipped me the sign that he was not happy. I got beside the van just because I was accelerating going on the freeway. I wasn't trying to be aggressive with him or anything. And I noticed that the side of the van was the company logo of another restaurant company here in Honolulu. I was embarrassed for the restaurant company, because if a driver worked for me and he was in a company van and he flipped somebody off, I would be very disappointed. And my point with all of this is that we as restaurateurs, whether you're a manager or restaurant leader, you need to know that you represent the company regardless of whether you're driving around in a company van. Sometimes you might have a logo on your t-shirt or your hat, or maybe just people know you by face, and you represent your business, your restaurant, wherever you go. So if you go into restaurants, you should plan on being a good tipper, because people will remember if you're a good tipper or not. If you go in the grocery store, be polite to the cashier and the other staff. I once had a regular customer come in to Tiki's who was in a wheelchair, and he actually called me over and said he wanted to commend me for having great staff. And I asked him what prompted him to say that. And he said he was in the grocery store the other day, and one of the bussers from Tiki's that he recognized, because he came into Tiki's quite a bit, one of the bussers helped him reach something on a high shelf that he couldn't reach because of being wheelchair bound. When I approached the busser about it later, I said to James, did you even know that this guy was a regular customer at Tiki's? And he had no idea. He was just being kind to somebody he saw in the grocery store. So it was a pretty neat story, but the customer certainly recognized him. I've also had a situation where I went to the Honolulu Liquor Commission, and a manager, after finding out that I was at the counter filling out some paperwork, one of the managers at the Liquor Commission came to the window to commend me on how polite our staff are when they come into the Liquor Commission to register for training. And I thought, how did they pick out Tiki's to know that our staff are being polite? And I think we're just lucky that we hire polite people. But since then, we've made a point to say, hey, when you're going to the Liquor Commission, you need to make sure that you are representing your employer in a positive light. Now, I've also been on the other side of this. I've also had restaurateurs call me up and say, hey, I just threw one of your employees out of our restaurant because of the way that he was acting. I had somebody call me up and say that they damaged something at their restaurant, and it was one of our employees. And both times, regardless of whether you're on the clock or not, I made a point to counsel and maybe part ways with some of those employees if they're not representing us well. So your task for today, explain to your managers and your staff that they represent your restaurant both on and off the clock, wherever they go. Now go make it happen. Do you have a comment or a tip for restaurant leaders? Text me at 808-201-0550 or find me at restaurantleadership365.com. This is Bill Tobin. Thanks for coming in. See you tomorrow.